Hey there. Dropped a little pencil over there. How do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. Hey, it's the 80s, darling. Yes, it is. It's 1985. Working at the Winter Garden Theater. Yes. Now, here's the thing. I actually work for a company called Theater Refreshments, Inc., or something like that, right? And every now and then they take the employees of Theater Refreshment and farm us out to various and sundry other theaters up and down the way. The Great White Way, yes. And one weekend, Julian, the big boss, up in his office down on 46th Street, he called me in. I go up there. What can I do for you? And he's like, Harry, you're not going to be selling at the Winter Garden this weekend. We're going to have you over at the Minskoff Theater just for a limited engagement, just for 3 shows. Then you'll be back at the Winter Garden Monday. I'm like, oh, okay. What do you need me to do? He says, all you need to do is sell programs. There's no other merchandise, nothing but programs. You get over to the Minskoff Theater an hour before call. That's at 7 o'clock Thursday night. You get over there. You report to the concessions manager, the bartender, the head bartender, and he'll take care of everything. He'll get you your station, your programs, everything you need. And I'm like, whoa, fantastic. He says, you can, so you have to sell before the show, during the intermission, and after the show. Same thing like at the Winter Garden, and you'll balance the books, tally it up each time after each sales period, and then you can go watch the show, just so long as you don't miss any of the sales times. You got to get out there and sell. I said, okay, absolutely, I will. That's Thursday night at 7. Anything else you need me to do? He says, no, that's it. I said, all right. Well, thank you. All right. And so I went and grabbed the doorknob in his office. I said, oh, wait a minute. What's the show? He says, it's TNT. He said, it's the Temps and the Tops, the Temptations and the Four Tops, Motown in the Big Apple. That's what the show is this weekend. That's what you'll be selling programs for. And I said, good. All right, thanks. Bye. He did not know, nor did he care, that I was from Motown and that I would be particularly thrilled to be selling programs and being able to see the show 3 times. Yes. So I was thrilled a bit. So Thursday night, 7 o'clock, I was there at the Minskoff Theater for the TNT, Temps and the Tops. The Temptations meet the Four Tops. Motown in the Big Apple. So I reported to the head bartender, and he set me up with my programs. I had a little counter there, a little cash drawer and everything I needed to sell cats. No. To sell TNT, full color show programs. TNT, full color show programs. And they were $5 a piece. And I sold a few. Yeah. And I'm selling them. It was nothing like the Winter Garden. It was nothing like the pandemonium over at the Winter Garden, hand over fist money. No. But it was a program and a program and a program. Programs, full color. Anyhow, so then 8 o'clock came and the lobby was empty and I heard some music and there was nobody else to sell programs to. So I shut up my little counter, my little station there, and took off. I ran up to the balcony. I went all the way over in the balcony, all the way over on the left, right, left, correct. Yes, that's actually stage right. That's house left. Okay. So, and I watched the show, and it's fantastic. And I wound up watching it all 3 nights. It was amazing. And each night I went in a different place. The second night I went over on the balcony on the right side, and then the third night I just walked around downstairs, watching from here, 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 and here, and here, and here. It was a fantastic show. The Four Tops and the Temptations started the show by coming out one singer at a time and singing "I Can't Get Next to You." And one from the Temps would sing one line, and one from the Tops would come out and sing another line. And then another one from the Temps would come out and sing the next line, and the Tops, and the Temps, and the Tops, and the Temps. And now they're all on stage singing back and forth like the battle of the bands. It was so cool. And eventually they unite and sing the last chorus all together. And they blew the roof off the place with just the first number. It was fantastic. It was an amazing concert. And they played all the hits. They played all the old songs, and I was a very enthusiastic audience member. At one point, I was forced to scream because they said, "All right, we're going back to West Grand Boulevard in Detroit now." And I went, "Ah!" And then they sang even more of the old hits. It was great. Then the Temps left the stage, and the Tops were out there, and they had just 4 top hits. And then the Tops left the stage, and the Temps came out, and they sang just Temptation hits. And that was Act One. It was fantastic. So then I got out to the intermission. Got out for intermission, selling my programs. And next thing you know, I ran back up when intermission was over, watched the rest of the show. It really was great. A highlight in the show, in a show filled with highlights, a highlight was near the end of the show when they decided they wanted to ask an audience member to come up and sing "My Girl" with them. And please, they said, don't come up here unless you know how to sing this song. And so the first night, some white guy, some sort of pudgy, pasty-faced white guy in khakis, he looked like a suburbanite, but that dude could sing. Yeah, it was fantastic. And the next night, the second night, it was this black dude with the coolest haircut in town. He had a fade. Yes, you remember the fade? Right. If you remember the fade, like and comment. Yes. Right. It was slick as could be. He was so cool. And this guy could sing. He blew the place out also. Fantastic. Oh, and here's the thing. When you're on stage singing "My Girl" with the Temptations, you have the actual Temptations standing right behind you going, ooh, ah, they're doing all the choreography and all the backup stuff. So imagine being that guy on the stage with the Temptations behind him on Broadway. Come on. And it was fantastic for the audience too. We felt like we were in on it. One of us, he's up there. Yay, look. And the last night was big audience favorite. It was a little 10-year-old girl with a huge voice like a hurricane. Yes, she came up, and there's the Temptations too behind her, and this this young girl just had this incredible voice singing to the rafters. Fantastic. Yeah, it was a concert to remember 3 nights in a row. It was 3 of the best concerts that I've ever been to, because it wasn't exactly the same order of the set list each night. They sort of free-handed some of the stuff. It was fantastic. Oh, this is different from last night. I loved it. And I got out to the intermission and the post show on time every time. No worry. Sold every program that could be sold. Here's the thing. The programs didn't sell that well, right? They weren't great programs. They weren't as good as the Cats programs, and the Cats program was pretty good, but it wasn't fantastic, I'll tell you. Now, the expensive Cats program, that was $14, that was really good. But the $5 one for Cats and the $5 one for TNT was only so-so. Yes, it was. So anyhow, I'm out there selling programs, right? Oh, and the second night after the show, that dude with the coolest haircut in town, the fade, came out. I recognized him as he was leaving. I go, "Hey, buddy, hey!" I got him program. "Hey, buddy, congratulations, fantastic work up there." I said, "That was really, really great. Everybody loves you." And he says, "Oh, thanks." I said, "You should take a program home with you, man. Something to remember tonight by." And he says, "Yeah, that's a good idea. How much are they?" I go, $5. But for you, since you're a big Broadway star, for you, $10. Just kidding, it's $5. And he went, "Oh." And he did. He bought a program and took it with him. So um, then I, finished up I closed up and everything, and that was my experience at the Temps and the Tops. But I got to tell you, I learned something about advertising. I learned something about honesty in advertising there. Yeah. Here's the thing that I learned as well, because some people would come up and say, "Hey," I go, "TNT programs," and they say, "Hey, can I take a look at that?" And I say, "Sure." And they'd flip, and they'd go, "Nah," and they'd walk away. "Thanks, nah," and they'd walk away. And I'm like, "Oh, I shouldn't have shown it to you because you might have bought it if you didn't see it." And I'm like, "Ooh." So this is what I learned about truth in advertising. Truth in advertising. If you use too much of it, you won't sell as much stuff. Uh-oh. that's why that's why advertisements, that's why commercials are the way they are. I know. Oh well. So, meanwhile, excuse me, I'm gonna have a little sip of beverage here. Oh, that was great. All right. Meanwhile, back at the Winter Garden, another time, I'm standing in the lobby on break talking to Virgil. Virgil, you remember Virgil? He's my tall, prematurely white-haired director of Canned Salmon, the off Broadway show that I was in. Yes, he's one of the bartenders at the Winter Garden Theater, and he's from Philadelphia. One of the smartest people that I ever met in New York City. Yeah, without exaggeration or hyperbole. That was Virgil. Fantastic guy. And we're talking about he's got a new project. And he's directing another show. This one is a script that he wrote called Jazz. Jazz. DJAZZ. Jazz. And that's how most of the people in the show actually said it. Yes. And was it avant-garde theater? Yes. Was it theater of the absurd? Yes. Was it? I don't know what it was. Do you know what it was? Because I don't know. And I saw it every night. Anyhow, it was really interesting. There's no show that I'd ever seen like it. And Virgil was talking to me about jazz, and he needed somebody to run lights for it. And I'm like, "I'm on board. I'll do it. Sure." Because I knew we weren't going to get paid, right? We weren't going to get paid because that's how that theater company was going to run. It's strictly by the seat of your pants budget. Correct. The zero budget players. Right. Anyhow, so I was and I had run lights before back in Michigan, back in Detroit several times, and throughout the years, many a time. I'm an old hat at this. I'm a technician. I'm a techie. Anyhow, so this light board that we have is two big packs of these Frankenstein levers that you had to pull down, right? And there were 5 in this great big box, and there were 5 levers, and there was another great big box, and that had 5 levers, and that controlled all the lights. And if you wanted to bring down all the lights at the same time, it was hard to. So we had to get a broomstick for each of the series of levers for each of the light boards, which were these big boxes, right? These big wooden black boxes. So you get a broomstick across the 5, and and you'd get a broomstick across the 5, right? And then you'd grab on each broomstick, and when the cue came up, you would push them both down, and then that would be a fade out. A blackout would be young. Anyhow, so that show was fantastic. I don't have any idea what it was about, but it was just some great acting. Jay Kent from Can Salmon, one of the actors at Can Salmon, was in Jazz, and Jimmy Doc from Can Salmon, the author and star of Can Salmon, was in Jazz. Yes, and they had a dude playing the stand-up bass, gadoon, goon, 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 sort of like an underscore throughout the whole play. It was really, really cool. Yes. And so I ran lights for that show for all 3 weekends. And that went by pretty quick. Time flies when you're doing independent theater. Yes. Now, along about this same time, Suzanne was working over at another theater entirely called the Double Image Repertory Company. Yes. And she was working in an administrative capacity and was friends with everybody over there. And she arranged to get an audition for me. The Double Image Repertory Company wanted to be a true repertory company and run 2 shows in repertory, alternating shows back and forth throughout the weekends. Yes, true repertory might be switching it every other night, but whatever. And would use the same cast, but whatever. The idea of switching, using the same space, changing the set every weekend was fantastic. And you really opened up for your audience. Right. And the 2 shows one was called Filthy Rich and one was called Savage in Limbo. And they were both very good scripts, excellent scripts. Right. So Suzanne arranged for an audition for me, and I went in, and I was very excited. And there's 2 shows, so there's twice as many chances. Oh, so you think. Savage in Limbo is for, you have to be 32 years old exactly. It's a plot point in the script. And I was just 25 at the time, and I read a little young for my age. I didn't look like a 32-year-old. I didn't have a chance. But there was a college student in Filthy Rich, and I gave a pretty good reading. I did. And so you know what happened? Nothing. They didn't cast me. It's fine because they said, you want to be technical director? And I'm like, yes. So I was in charge of those 2 different sets that had to go back and forth every other night during the rehearsal and every other week during the performances. Oh, it was grueling. Yes. And I was in charge of the crew. I was in charge of the shift from one set to the other, and I was in charge of the crew. A very inexperienced crew. They were not particularly efficient. We had many, many late nights. I'm not complaining about the people. They were lovely people. They just were not particularly experienced, and it was a lot harder than it had to be. There was a lot of drinking after hours. Anyhow, the point of this all is that it was a real job. And it took a massive more than 40 hours a week and nights. So if I was going to take this job as tech director over at the Double Image Repertory Company, I was going to have to leave the Winter Garden. I was going to have to leave Cats. Well, this job as a tech director actually paid a little bit more. And I'm like, this is actually closer to doing a theater work. I'm not just standing out in the lobby. I got my hands on absolutely every part of and I'm a techie, so let's do it. So I had to give notice at the Winter Garden Theater, like in the real world. So I went up to Julian's office there on 46th Street, on 46th Street. And I told him I got a new job and I was leaving. And this is my 2 weeks notice. And he says, well, we'll be sorry to see you go, but we wish you the best in all your future endeavors. And he shook my hand. And I'm like, gee, thanks, boss. That's fantastic. And that's how you should end a job. So I went, and it wound up being kind of an anticlimax. My last days at the Winter Garden, I went, I counted all the shows I had left, not days left, but performances, right, on my little calendar. And during those last couple of weeks that I was there, I went and saw some of the song numbers again and again. I saw the Jellicle Ball several times. I loved it. And it was, I left pretty much without ceremony until here it is, the last day. I didn't expect any ceremony. I didn't. But the last day, my partner, my last selling partner, my last selling compatriot, my last selling comrade, and that was Perry, a tall, sincere, and hilarious fellow. I liked working with him very well. Anyhow, he gave me a card, a very nice card, wishing me well and reminding me that series of numbers that we had to write down over and over and over again every time we balanced the book several times a show. Yes, he said that series of numbers would never be able to leave my head. And then he wrote 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18, 20, 14. Yes. And as you can see, 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18, 20, 14. I can rattle it off. It is still etched inside my skull like a prisoner's hatch marks. Yes, and so there it was, my last day, and I went at the end of the final performance that I was going to work there for. I went upstairs and I watched Grisabella the Glamour Cat ascend to the Heavyside lair for one more time. And the giant tire goes up, and the smoke comes down, and Grisabella climbs into the staircase off into to Stairway to Heaven and all that stuff. Off to the Heavyside lair. And then I had to run down and sell for one last sales period. And I did. Perry did the last tally, and after that, a lot of people had already left, and I just walked out of the Winter Garden, and I never went back there again. I know, it's so strange when things change. Sometimes they change completely. The place where you went every day, for years sometimes, the place you went for every day for years, suddenly isn't even part of the story anymore. All the people that you knew and worked with and sweated with and struggled with and eventually came to have affection for or even love, all of those people suddenly are now just a brace of memories. Right? Some of these people you'll never even see again in life. And from that day, from that moment on, everything that you have of these people that you worked and came to love, everything that you have of them is merely a series of flashing synapses in your brain. And that's it. A bunch of neurons connecting. That's all you have anymore after you've left a place is the memory. Oh, you might have a little card as a memento, yeah. But ultimately, all you have is your memories. And you don't get to keep those forever. Whoa, 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 whoa. So, take a look around wherever you are. Know that the story might change tomorrow. And what if you never see any of these people again? Well, but the thing is, I got a new job. Oh, it was so exciting. Yes, I got a new job. And I'll have to tell you about that like next time. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. And I look forward to telling you more.